You're welcome to the polling station, a historic polling station with Star Sports, because it is the last time during the polling station that Donald Trump is going to be president of the US. We have Joe Biden's inauguration, and in light of that, Star Sports only have one of the most exciting betting markets possibly since the Trump v. Biden electoral race, in which words or phrases will be used in Joe Biden's inaugural address? It's Biden bingo, William Kedjanyi.
It's Biden bingo, and we are absolutely here for it. We have covered as many eventualities as we can, although that said, if you do want something added, please just give us a wave. We are looking basically at different areas. So, inaugural addresses will often have family mentions in there. That's a common thing with presidents coming in. So we've got Jill up there, we've got Doctor, Jill Biden is a doctor. We've also got Hunter in there. We've gone topical. We have social media firms in there, all of them.
We've even money founding fathers.
Even money founding fathers, an absolute staple of most inaugural addresses. We think that will be popular. We've also gone with many other sort of themes on this. Stuff at the Oval Office as well is 11 to 10. We've gone unity at 11 to 8. Trump, by the way, is 5 to 4. We think that Biden might want to be more forward-looking with this, so you push that out just a little bit, and as you can see on your screens, the rest is all there. So yeah, really wide range of options, taking in everything from the absolutely certain, we think, to the absolutely absurd, because we have Lil Wayne and Tiger King also in the betting.
Yeah, well, if you fancy some horse over the next few days, double it up with Pandemic at 1 to 5. I mean, what can possibly go wrong? Black Lives Matter 5 to 2. Irish or Ireland 2 to 1. Impeached at 3 to 1 is a fascinating one, which brings us on to our next topic, and that is the potential impeachment for the second time of the departing president. Now, where are we at with the betting here? Have you taken any bets? Because it's definitely a time for Donald Trump to, I guess, take a lot in as he leaves his presidency after 4 tumultuous years.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are 9 to 4 that he is convicted of the article of incitement of insurrection. In layman's terms, we're 9 to 4 that the Senate votes that he did incite the insurrection that we saw at the Capitol. That needs 67 US senators to vote in favor of conviction. That would need 17 GOP senators to vote for that. Now, we believe that some have already turned and will vote to convict. Others, it'll be more difficult because they live in very pro-Trump states. Trump has still a very high approval rating amongst Republicans. It's still about 70%, given everything that's happened. And also in hypothetical polling for 2024, Trump actually has 43%. I believe Morning Consult ran that poll a few days ago. He has 43%. Obviously, this is extremely hypothetical, but the main takeaway is that plenty of people in the Republican Party still very much back Trump. So turning against that is going to be difficult. But of course, there is the promise of him never running again if he is convicted. So a real choice for many of the Republican senators, and one that will be not just moral, but also electoral too.
What's your inkling at the moment?
My inkling is that there will be more Republican senators than we think voting to convict him. I think there are plenty who are already swaying. I think also the fact Mitch McConnell appears to be swaying that way is going to be a big driver. But I think that there will be a couple who will, especially given that Biden is going to be inaugurated tomorrow, not see fit to go that further step, and they will not want to turn either against Trump's base. They will feel that now that he's out of power, the job has been done. They will also, I think, just in general, feel that this is not really an exercise of much point. What's the point of impeaching a non-sitting president, an ex-president, and setting that precedent, which is something that we've heard a lot of arguments about in the US.
Yeah, and I guess in terms of going back to the Biden bingo, it's probably prudent to ask you: have you a selection at a little bit of a price for our punters as they kind of wedge their into 2021 and this long year ahead in lockdown and so forth?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there are some really big prices. I think Make America Great Again is a very big price of 20 to 1.
Would he
Um,
say that? I mean, he would be taking the PISS obviously a little bit.
well, maybe not to take the PISS, but also to just use that phrase in a more positive light. I mean,
Mm,
Make America Great Again wasn't even an original Trump phrase. That was a Reagan thing, right? It would not be completely out of bounds, I think, for Biden's team to try and change that phrase and then basically use that as a positive way to start his term. I think QAnon is also very big at 50s. Whether Biden will want to go that topical, I don't know. But I think if he starts to talk about the threats facing, well, not the threats starting to face America, but the threats now really directly impacting America, I don't think it's a 50s shot that if he starts talking about things like Parler and Gab, etc., that he starts talking about QAnon. I can see it being in a passing line in the inaugural address, the threats that face us today, etc., etc., etc. I mean, terrorism is, I think it's 2 to 1.
mm.
Is QAnon really 50s, given that? And it's not as if Biden isn't going to be very aware of what's the biggest threat to his inauguration, um, which is set to take place tomorrow. I mean, we have literally the National Guard sort of being audited for previous extremist links, etc. So I think that's a real runner. I'd also think that just looking in the middle range here, um, impeachment at 2 to 1, I think is a fair runner. And also, I do think that corruption at 4 to 5 is or Oval Office, I should say, at 11 to 10 is a goer.
What else we got this week?
So this week, there's been more polling on Scottish independence. We've actually changed our prices a little bit on that. I think we're evens now. That yes wins a hypothetical Scottish independence referendum before 2025.
Why the drift?
Um, the latest poll from Survation has just shown support tightening a little bit. There was only 2 points between independents and not. The gaps previously have been much bigger. That was also even with undecideds in. So I think possibly that might be the drift. I think also people might just be reacting a bit to the fact that there are continued denials for this. And also I think people might be wising up to the fact that an independence referendum could be something that happens in the next half of this decade rather than the first, due to a number of logistical issues. I mean, just worth saying that pressure isn't going to go away. The SNP are miles ahead in the polls, expected to win very handsomely at Holyrood. That's going to push the agenda further. But at the moment, I think that might cool a bit until we get to May, and then there's electoral come back in again. Interesting developments in Europe. The Italian government is having a very rickety moment. Why do I say this while we're bringing this up? Important because we will hopefully be doing more European things on the polling station this year. Important also because we may be bringing back, possibly at some point, the next European leader to go market. Also in Europe, there's been a new head of the CDU elected, a new leader, and there will be German federal elections. So look out for that down the line. But Johnny, I forgot to ask you, if we're doing this, what are your top 3 selections for Biden bingo?
My top 3 selections. Why don't we throw in Irish or Ireland to appeal to his Irish background and so forth at 2 to 1. Time to heal at 6 to 4. I think pretty solid. The one I'm really interested in is Trump at 5 to 4. Could he mention his name? I'm gonna corrupt that and go with Unity at 11 to 8. So 3 shorties: Unity, Time to Heal, and Irish Ireland.
Okay, I'm gonna have Oval Office at 11 to 10, Armed Forces at 2 to 1, and QAnon at 50s. I just think it's really big. I just think if he goes there, that suddenly becomes a 5 to 1 shot at best.
Thank you for your time, William.
Thank you very much. Always a pleasure. Never a chore to be with you.
And we'll be back next week when Joe Biden will be president of the United States. But what will he have said in his inauguration?